Welcome back to Top Flight Football TV. We've had the Istanbul derby, Galatasaray versus Besiktas. Action was on today. Galatasaray did not surprise. They won at home. Wasn't the most exciting of games, I would say, but there were still quite a lot that happened. 2 penalties, a red card, and a happy face to my right. Why don't you pick up, Oz, from Melbourne? Tell me about it.
Melbourne, it's a good morning in Melbourne. Actually, it's what's the time? It's 5:23 a.m. We've been up since 2:30, and now the game started at 3 for us. It's always great to get up and watch Gala play. We played well. We dominated the first half, and really happy fan here. And we got the job done. 3 points. Now we look forward to Bayern. This was like a stepping stone for us. We had to win this game, and yeah, really happy. Couldn't be better this morning. I can tell you that.
Yeah, worth waking up at 2:30 a.m. to watch Gala.
Definitely.
It wasn't, but from your words, I don't. It doesn't sound to me like you were impressed with the gameplay.
Yeah, look, when we're used to Gala playing an attacking, a pressing football game, so that's what we're used to. But I was surprised that Okan Buruk came out with a different way of doing things, and that first 30 minutes of pressure that we normally put on to the opponents, especially at home, we didn't do that this game, this half. But thanks to the Besiktas defenders as well as Icardi, being a finisher, got the 3 points.
Yeah, man. I wouldn't say, like, no disrespect to the win, but I wouldn't say Galatasaray won today. I'd say Besiktas lost, just because Galatasaray. I mean, Besiktas are a very limited team this year. There's only so much they can do, and had they not copped the red card, I mean, I don't know how things would have went, because Besiktas copped the red card really early in the game. Like in the first 10 minutes, Besiktas copped the red card, and it was the goalie that copped the red card of all the people. And so that definitely affected the game a bit, in my opinion. And it also affected Galatasaray's gameplay as well, whereas they didn't have to try as hard. And they definitely didn't, man. I could see that, the players and the coach were more focused on Tuesday than the derby. And in an atmosphere where you're not so focused on a derby, you come. I think if it were not for the red card, we would have seen a surprise win from Besiktas, and I say surprise because we have a limited squad. But yeah, man, it was left.
I just did a lap of victory and came back.
Yeah, lap. I like that. You deserve it. But again, like I said, I think the red card really affected the game. I mean, I don't want to talk too much about the red card. I want to see what the referees are going to say about it, because the rules have changed, with the end where it's supposed to be and where it's not supposed to be.
Yeah, you kept talking about that. Can you tell us a bit more about that rule change?
Well, as far as my knowledge goes, and this was a really big issue in the first week of the league when Fenerbahce's opponents penalty.
Oh wait, my phone is ringing. Wait.
You should put your phone on silent during the live.
My phone is going off.
About the rule. Going back to the rule. Basically, it says as long as your hand is in a natural position, it doesn't matter if the ball hits it. It's as long as you're not the one touching the ball is coming to you. And I kind of felt like that red card position kind of falls under that category. I'm not sure.
What if you're a keeper and the ball is outside the box and you touch it with your hand?
It doesn't, regardless of where the ball is, where the game is happening. The ball, obviously, sometimes it bounces off someone. There's movement, yeah, and it ends up touching your hand. If your hand is in a natural position, then it's not meant to be a penalty anymore. and they've changed the rules of this natural position. So I really need to look into it. But yeah, for example, the penalty, the second handball, like
Yeah.
that was clean. That was a handball for sure because the hand was nowhere near a natural position. It was obviously not in a natural position. But regardless of whether Besiktas deserved that red card or not, I think it affected the outcome of the game drastically because I'm not saying we would have won, but at least Galatasaray did not have to try as hard. Oh, you're going for another lap, huh? My God.
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
You're listening to me, but doing a lap of victory lap, huh? Yeah, look, man, this season it's not Besiktas's year. There's a lot to talk about this game. The Besiktas fans were not happy about this specific referee being, you know, given to this game. And I think that's just something that's going to be talked about a lot, and it's going to shadow Galatasaray's win a little bit. And it didn't need to be that way. It did not need to be that way. I think Galatasaray deserved a win, and they definitely played better. We were a man down, but like the debate over this derby, regardless of the result, was set as soon as they picked that referee for this game. It was because this is a referee who's been in 3 other derbies with Besiktas, and in all 3 of them, he's made scandalous decisions against Besiktas. And in one instance, the chairman, our previous chairman, he even, what do you call it? He even withdrew the team, from the pitch. He said, "No, we're not playing the game if you guys keep giving us this referee, and we as long we know what's been going on." And we know the feud that's been going on between Besiktas and the federation. So I think the Galatasaray fans should be equally angry at the federation as the Besiktas fans for choosing this referee. Because, again, like I said, regardless of the result, even if Besiktas had won today, this referee was going to be spoken. This referee was picked to just annoy Besiktas fans specifically. It was done on purpose. And with a team that played as bad as Besiktas played today, they don't really give me much to talk about, besides the referee. Despite him not having such a bad game, why was he chosen for this game, Despite him not doing that bad of a job, why was he changed? Why it was supposed to be another referee and then they changed it to him? Like, there's so much of a build-up to this game with this referee situation. And to be fair, and I'll give it to you after this, to be fair, with all that happened, I'll give it to him. He had a fine game. He had an okay game. We have to, if that position was a red card, if he was right, I don't know. I'd have to listen to a professional analysis, a professional referee commenting on that. He did a good game. If we X out that position, I think he did a good job. But the fact that he was chosen just to, anger the Besiktas fans, the Besiktas chairman, the Besiktas team, it's wrong. And this feud between Besiktas and the federation is continuing. And now it's kind of shadowed the win of Galatasaray. How do you feel about that?
I mean, if whoever plays this game, right, whichever supporter or whichever side you're on, there's always referee talk, unfortunately, after every game, right? I think this coinciding with Galatasaray's vice president talking about, hey, let's fix this problem. Let's fix this problem as a whole. Let's start it off. Everyone put their hand up, and we look into everything, right? It's not just for or against or this happened or that happened. It's more so everyone. Let's create a cleaner league, if that's what if it's to say. We look at this and we watch the game. That's the thing. Like we saw the decisions the ref made. We saw which way the game went. I didn't think he overly did a bad job. I understand your frustration about the refs changing, or I'm not sure how they changed it because they don't usually announce the ref until a few days later. 2 days before the game.
They claim to use AI while they're choosing their referees, yeah. And the whole week, every newspaper, every media outlet was saying, what do you call it? they were saying they were saying that Ali Shamsalan was going to be the referee according to the AI system, based on the statistics, because you give statistics into the AI system and then, so forth. And then Galatasaray vice president comes out a couple of days before the derby, and he talks about Ali Shamsalan and how Galatasaray doesn't want this guy, in the derby. And then all of a sudden we hear the name Halil Umut Meler. I don't have a problem with the change of Ali Shamsalan. I could care less. I mean, majority of referees in Turkey they fail to succeed. In these derby games, it's a big games, a lot of pressure. But the fact that you would change it from someone Galatasaray doesn't want to someone Besiktas doesn't want. Why don't you just go for someone in between? You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is not someone that we want.
And this is exactly what I mean when I say that this whole situation has put a shadow on the win of Galatasaray, because we're talking about it, man. We shouldn't be. Like, Galatasaray definitely deserved to win. They definitely played better. Galatasaray has a much better squad. Galatasaray is in the Champions League. This year is Galatasaray's year. Like, no debate about that. And Besiktas are in struggle. There's so much happening in the club. We're going to talk about it in the upcoming episodes. We're going to put out, documentaries about it, because Besiktas is in downfall. Like, even if they won today, they're in downfall. But the federation, kind of pulled Galatasaray into this feud they have with Besiktas. And now that leaves me with no choice but to keep talking about it, because this shouldn't have happened, mate. And if this hadn't happened, you guys still would have most likely won the game.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Like I said, I wouldn't be. I can understand your frustration again, but you look at the positions, you look at what happened, you look at the rule book. I don't think there was too many. There wasn't scandalous decisions to be talked over, even though the TV commentators, they like talking about this stuff. But again, the change of ref, yes, I understand that could be frustrating. But I think you need to talk more about how bad Besiktas was in the defense and how you plays.
About this. So let's move on to tactics, and let's start with Galatasaray, man, the winning team. And I'll start for a change. I usually always let you start with Galatasaray, but I'll start by saying what I saw. I actually saw Galatasaray's coach kind of using this game as a pre-up for the Bayern game. And what he did was, it's interesting actually, the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game, he waited for Besiktas to kind of do whatever they were going to do. He didn't go on them. He didn't apply a lot of pressure up forward. And you're at home and you're Gala. That's what you would normally do at every derby start. You'd start strong. You start with the pressure, and you try to get that first goal within the first 20 minutes. So the rest of the game can be easy. But he actually said, let's see, let's wait for them. Let's see. He went for like a pre-Bayern game, and I don't think Besiktas can tell you much in terms of your defensive capabilities, because we're very limited up front as well. But obviously, and then even while Besiktas were attacking, Besiktas got a red card. You know what I mean? So it was weird. How did you find Okan Buruk's tactics?
I feel like he didn't put as much pressure on his team as he normally does to press the ball, to be up forward, to be pressing that forward, attacking, the pressing game for the other opponent. This game was a different game. I wouldn't be surprised if he was trying out his first 11 for the Tuesday night's game. Well, Wednesday morning for us at 3:45. And it looks like he wanted to see how his first 11 squad was going to hold up. Looking at the first 11 here, I had chosen either Barış or Tete, and it looked like he went with Tete instead. I was under the impression that because Barış did well in the national team, scoring a goal. And he's been on good form lately. I thought he would put him up against the wing of Rashica. and Sasha Bowie pretty much. But he went with Tete. Tete played well. I think he played well in terms of passing the ball and getting it forward to Icardi. He had some deep passes that he normally doesn't play. Usually get him to go down the line and then he crosses the ball in. But this time he was actually crossing in and then passing the ball more towards the middle, almost playing as an attacking midfielder in the middle. Apart from that, we saw Sanchez again, even though receiving a yellow card early in the game. He did very well. Abu Bakr is a threat every time he gets the ball.
Yeah, he was on Abu Bakr, man. He was on.
He really he didn't let him play. He stopped him in his tracks, and then Burak Yilmaz also saw Beşiktaş's coach that they needed a change of pace, so he put Cenk, who's more obviously, he likes that open space to run and create chances, especially being 10 men. He tried that. But yeah, Gala did well in terms of controlling the game.
I think Gala did enough. I don't think Gala did well. I'll cut you off.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Well enough, because again, you're at home. Even at 1-1, you always come back from those, and they put the pressure on when they needed to, and they got the penalty and therefore the goal. And yeah, I can't say it was an amazing game for Gala, but 3 points, derby against Beşiktaş. Mauro Icardi scoring 2 goals.
Yeah, we have Galatasaray's 11 up. Is there and I'm looking at it, who's your man of the match for Galatasaray? I don't think anybody had an extreme performance, but who would be your man of the match?
Hold on. Can you see the number? That's my man of the match, man. Every match. And he scores 2 goals.
He scores 2 goals, but he wasn't that well today, to be fair. Like the first goal he got.
I mean, if you score 2 goals, man, you don't have to do anything else.
He wasn't lucky in the first goal, to be fair. He wasn't lucky, but the Beşiktaş defenders were just clumsy. It wasn't his luck. It was their clumsiness. But yeah, it's Icardi, man. He scores every game.
He scored a very similar goal to Trabzonspor. I was at that game at the start of the season, and very similar goal again. It's about finishing those. Abu Bakr is more an explosive player. He can shoot from wherever, and it usually goes in. But Icardi does that and more. You see him just poaching, finishing. He won't take the ball and run and take players on and then score, but he will have that explosive shot. He'll have the
man. He's very clinical. He's very clinical in the box. He messes it up in there. You saw Beşiktaş defenders had no clue what they were doing, just because of Icardi. Because he moves right, he moves left. And if you're not a well enough, smart enough, experienced enough defender, and none of Beşiktaş's defenders would fit into that category.
I'm not sure if you watched the game.
All those dumb things we saw, happen today in the field. Icardi actually could have scored even more.
I'm not sure if you had a chance to watch the game between swearing at the ref, but when Icardi scored the goal, he actually did a little 1-2 in the box with your defender. He headed the ball towards him. The ball came back to him, and then he finished. So he scored, but he also assisted himself. Yeah, so I'm just looking at the first 11 here. And again, stock standard, what you would expect from Okan Buruk to put out on the field this morning for me in Australia, or this tonight in Turkey. And Tete, Barış, you could have gone, maybe Sanchez.
No, yeah, but even towards the end of the game, listen, man, Okan Buruk, risky game for him today. It all ended well, but again, when he was up, I'm not sure if he did it. I think he did it when you were up. He took out Zaha, he took out Tete. He was constant, from minute 1 to minute 90. I saw Okan Buruk thinking about Bayern. He was.
Yeah, that's what you felt.
He
Definitely felt that.
Put his players to rest early. It was like I said, man, that red card really helped Galatasaray in what they wanted to do. Not in winning, but in winning without an effort, basically.
Well, you could say
I
that,
think
but I
that's
could
the title. We
also.
should get that written down there. Galatasaray today won without an effort. And I'm not saying that with any disrespect. That's a lot. That's disrespect to Besiktas because that's just reality. The Besiktas team are a very limited team this year. Very, very limited team.
Yeah, yeah. And I think
Yeah, let's take a look at Besiktas's 11 actually.
yeah, have a look at it. Having said that, maybe if he didn't cop the red card and Burak Yilmaz, he wasn't going to be pressured to make those changes, and therefore it could have been a worse loss than what he tried to do to pull the team back and
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Things could have went. That's another way of looking at it, man. That's an interesting point. Like, had Galatasaray not copped that red card, we might have lost 3-4-0 as well. Right?
Yeah, possible. Because the goal, I said that as well when I was talking to you, an early goal would have changed the game. And it really did, but then the red card happened. And when the red card happened, you're 1-0 up, obviously 10 men. You don't push as hard. And then obviously Burak had to make those changes. First of all, wasting a sub by putting a keeper in, and then doing other things that he had to do, taking Rashidov, probably your most informed player who wanted to come back to Istanbul in the arena Rams Park and prove himself to the fans because they were booing him as well. And I think Burak Yilmaz saw that and he had to take him off. So his game plan obviously changed within I think it was around the.
I mean, we definitely have to talk about Burak Yilmaz a little bit. Like the 11 he chose, the players he got put in, and his reaction to a very, very early red card, and the fact that it's his first. So just the backstory: Burak Yilmaz's second game as coach of Besiktas and his second ever game as a coach. And I don't think he's even got a license to be a coach. He's kind of using somebody else's license. He's not even the official coach.
That's for sure.
But I mean, it's so hard to criticize. It is so hard to. I want to criticize, but it is so hard to criticize Burak Yilmaz or Şenol Güneş or Carlo Ancelotti if Ancelotti was the coach of Besiktas, because before this game I wanted to write down an 11 of my own, like thinking who would I play, and man, like it's such a bad group of players. It's not even that the group players are individually bad. It's that you've just put together a group of players you can't build an 11 from. You cannot build a healthy, functioning, defending and attacking 11 from the Besiktas squad. It's nearly impossible. There's so much missing. There's so much of one thing, none of another thing. There's no planning there. Just give me 1 sec, guys.
Sure. I'm just looking at the stats here as well while Furkan's while he's back home. I'm just looking at the were you doing a victory of sadness, a lap of sadness, or
No.
or did you go to look at the rest?
I think I'll be honest, man. I think this is a very acceptable score for Besiktas. It's good that we lost in a way because this chairman needs to leave. He's been. We're going to talk about him in a separate video, for hours. But he has been extremely, extremely, extremely unsuccessful. And had Besiktas won this derby, it would have been a win of chance. It would have been, one of those wins that don't mean anything. It would just be like, okay, we didn't lose to our rival, which is good in the eyes of the fans. But Besiktas still wouldn't be competing. Besiktas still would have a weaker squad compared to Fenerbahce and Galatasaray, which shouldn't happen, which wasn't the case in I don't even know. I don't remember another year. There was this much of a gap, between Besiktas and the other two teams in terms of squad quality. It's just not there, It's not there. And my 11 was different from what Burak came out with, but I can't judge him for the 11 he came out with, and I wouldn't judge anybody for the 11 they came out with. Like, it's such a faulty squad. You can't find a healthy group of 11 players to play with. It's just, You don't have a you don't have a left back except Masuaku, and he's a very good attacking left back. He came on, but defensively he's not good enough. So he didn't want to play Masuaku, but you don't have an alternative. Getson Fernandez, obviously amazing player. He just got out of injury. He's been injured. The guy was in crutches a week ago, you know, and today he's
Yeah, I was
playing.
surprised to see him
That's how
play.
desperate you are. You have to play your injured guy who was literally in crutches 1 week ago, man. You know, so I don't want to comment on his performance. He wasn't even ready to play. You got a guy named Amir. I mean, he'd be a good player in a good team. He's not gonna carry you anywhere. You got Tayfur. It's his first game this year. He's bought just because he's Turkish. Respect to him, you know, like he does his best, but you know, very limited. Gezal is nowhere to be seen for 2
Does he
years.
normally start first 11, Typhoon?
No. This was his first time this year, and last year
Yeah,
he
I
was.
was gonna say you don't really
No,
see.
he's one of those Turkish guys you throw in, you know, when you're winning 2-0 and you want to defend or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
He's there with for the passport. You look at Gezal. He's been lost for 2 years. 2 years ago, he was an amazing player, but for 2 years he's nowhere to be seen. I hope he makes a return. Besiktas needs him. Besiktas needs him dearly. You look at Rashika, he's a new transfer. I'm not going to comment. He's the only guy who's given a glimpse of hope, you know, amongst the ones that came, but
Yeah.
he couldn't play today. You got Abu Bakar, absolute legend. Nothing to say to or about Abu Bakar. Like he I feel so sorry for that guy. He because of the 10 players playing behind him. And then let's look at who came in, you know. You had Ante Rebic come in. When's the last time anybody heard this name? How is this guy playing for Besiktas? Who's buying Ante Rebic? And I'm seeing reports in media of the Besiktas chairman saying, oh, he buys the players that the fans want. The fans didn't want Rebic. Oxlade-Chamberlain, thank you for the goal. I'm hopeful you're gonna, you know, turn out to be a good transfer, but I'm 50% hopeful. I don't remember the last time Oxlade-Chamberlain was in a starting 11 before he came to Besiktas, and since his arrival, it's like the second month of the league. It's the third month of the league. We had 2 international breaks. Like, when are you gonna catch form? When are you just thinking about catching form? And again, he scored today. I'm talking about his previous performances. Today, he was actually much better than before. But, like, again, it's too late. Even if Oxlade-Chamberlain comes back, turns things around, and scores 30 goals, we're not going to end up champions. It's too late, you know? It's too late. And so many you've made transfers you cannot play. You cannot play them because they are literally not good enough for this league, not this team, this league. People you've paid 5 million euros for, and I don't want to continue on too much with Besiktas's internal problems, but like so. Back to the beginning of my argument. So I can't criticize Burak Yilmaz. Like, this is not the 11 I would have chose, obviously, but I won't criticize anybody for an 11 they chose in Besiktas because it's an unchoosable group of players. You can only choose Abu Bakar and Gedson, and then the rest doesn't matter, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Having said that, also, Besiktas winning this game, it would have been a good, well, good for Burak Yilmaz, but I'm not sure it would have been good for Besiktas because, when you win big games like this, especially when you guys were 10 men, if you had scored another goal and made it 2-1 and somehow won the game, then I think Burak Yilmaz would have held a hero as well, and maybe he would, it would be harder for the president to get rid of him, or that would
We
have
need to
given
get
him
rid of
a.
the president, man, not Burak Yilmaz. Like, it doesn't matter because also we're not going to get rid of Burak Yilmaz because we have elections coming up, and the president announced that he won't be signing a contract, with a new coach unless he gets reelected. Or
Have you heard of Igor Tudor?
Yeah, but they said it's not true. They said it's not, and that would never happen. I mean, if that happened, I would seriously you'd see me like jumping into this camera here, like Igor.
He wasn't.
Igor
He wasn't a
Tudor,
bad.
like, these guys are
But obviously,
nobodies, man. People don't understand. Besiktas, Galatasaray, Fenerbahce. These are big clubs. These clubs have big mentalities. When I say big clubs, yes, they might not have the PR the other clubs have. They might not have the money the other clubs have, but they have the exact same dressing room mentality. You know what I mean? Same thing
Yeah.
with Real Madrid. If you're not successful for 2 years, 1 out of every 2 years, you're gone, mate. That's
Yeah.
the mentality in the dressing room. Whether you think they're big clubs or not doesn't matter. They have the mentality of that big club dressing room. So it's a different situation. And Besiktas should not be in this situation. Besiktas should not be in this situation because if you go back 2 years ago, it was actually a period of rise for Besiktas, with Sergen Yalçın and an impossible championship coming, like a photo finish championship, derbies won, gameplay, players sold, Champions League wins, and then it just became a steep downfall, man, a very, very acute angle downfall. And all Besiktas fans like me are outraged. And so back to what you said, if Besiktas had won, this might have delayed the departure of this president. So I'm not happy we lost. I'm a Besiktas fan. I'm not happy we lost, but I don't have a problem admitting that we deserve to lose, and it's because we don't have a squad good enough to win.
Yeah.
Some statistics you asked for, so let's pull those statistics up, Oz, and you talk to us about it.
Sure. So I was just looking at this just after the game, and you look at these stats, and it doesn't sort of what we watched and what's out here. The two different things. It looked like Beşiktaş had a bit more of the ball and the positions, but it looks like it was a bee, working but not making any honey per se.
Yeah, man. See,
And
that's what I mean about Besiktas. Even when they look like they're playing good, they're not.
Yeah, I mean, and the stats tell you that. We talk about Gala not playing their usual game, but they've had 27 shots against two from Beşiktaş. You had 9 shots on target. Having said that, only 9 out of 27 shots is not. I think that could be better. That's only a third of what you could have.
I'm telling you, man, Galatasaray kind of treated this game as a warm-up for Bayern. They were tactically advantageous. They were home. They have a better squad. They've been playing. They have a game plan, and they just want to try it out. They didn't. I feel like Galatasaray could have done different things today if it was a derby with if this derby actually mattered, if it wasn't this early on, if Galatasaray didn't have a Bayern Munich game right after it, just 2 days after it, Obviously, even if Galatasaray was playing Fenerbahce today, the Bayern Munich game was always going to be more important. It's just too early on in the season to put this much importance on a derby over a Champions League game. You're getting probably 3 to 4 million euros just on a win if you win in the Champions League from one win. It just made sense that he did that.
The fact that it's 3 days away, the fact that it's home, the fact that it's pretty much the same squad that's going to play, being a derby and winning and getting 3 points against one of the top 3, top 4 teams is one thing, but also being able to train for it or practice for it is another, and it's a big advantage for Gala, which I think they used well. And I wouldn't be surprised if Gala does well against Bayern with what they came out with, and if they can keep the squad.
Yeah, man. There's not much to talk about this derby. It was an eventful but uneventful derby. It was weird. It didn't really even have that derby feeling. Did it to you?
It didn't. No, it didn't have that.
Because it's Galatasaray has the Bayern game coming up. Beşiktaş is one of the weakest Beşiktaş I have ever seen in my lifetime. Since I've been following them, it's shocking, man. It's shocking to see a Beşiktaş with this weak of a squad and a chairman who still wants to stay. But anyway, moving on. So because there's not much to talk about this derby, and if you don't have anything else you want to add, I want to move on to the Champions League, man. Let's talk about this Champions League game.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Champions League then. Galatasaray are ready for Bayern Munich, man. I mean, not that the Besiktas game was a great or big test, but
Yeah.
looking at Galatasaray's consistent performance from the beginning of the season up until now and how it's just getting better, I feel like Galatasaray are ready to play Bayern. But how that game will play out and what will happen, what do you think goes?
Um, Bayern Munich hasn't lost a single game in the last 32 group matches in the Champions League. Unbeaten, 32 games. That's extraordinary, right? That's not a stat that you hear or witness very easily. Now, um, Galatasaray has got a big task in their hands. If you ask any Gala fan, they would have said maybe one, but most likely 0 points against Bayern Munich in both games, being home and away. Now, when you pull off something like that in Manchester at Old Trafford, and you beat Manchester 3-2, having gone down twice, you start to believe more in your team, and then you think, man, we can beat anyone. If Icardi is in form, if Kerem and Icardi click well, if Zaha turns up, Sanchez is always there. If these guys do well, then it could work for us on Tuesday. Give me 1 second.
Yes, I'll pick up from where you left off, man. I mean, there's Bayern haven't lost in 32 Champions League group games. You said that's a very good pick to have. And if there ever was a Champions League team in the world, it was either Bayern Munich or Real Madrid. It's one of those two. And it's interesting. There's anything can happen. Anything can happen at home, but it's a tough game. I don't want to speak. I'm not. I am optimistic, but it's. I'm also logical. It is Bayern Munich in the end of the day.
Of course. The favourites are definitely Bayern Munich. There's no doubt there. But it's more, how Gala turns up and how they play and how they, start the game and finish it come Tuesday. Are they ready for Bayern? I think they're ready for Bayern. They couldn't be any more ready than what they are now. And we just wait and see. And I'm hoping we can talk again about it after the game. Once the game is finished, we can do another live and we can talk about it.
We'll be live after the game for sure. And I mean, Bayern Munich coming to Istanbul. It's been a minute. I think they were here last when they knocked Besiktas out of the Champions League, and it was they scored like 4, so that was a.
Oh, is this in okay, against Besiktas? Is that right?
Besiktas in the Champions League. But who do you see playing over the weekend, or who do you want to see playing? What do you think Galatasaray's mentality and tactical game plan should be, or is going to be?
Against Bayern, it's definitely not going to be what they do usually, starting off pressing in hard and then hoping to score within those first 20-30 minutes. But rather they'll need to start a bit more controlled, sort of try and balance both teams out with the wings and the midfield, and hopefully sort of after that power struggle, that control, they'll need to then put on pressure and hopefully try and score maybe, and not concede. Definitely not conceding in the first 20-30 minutes is going to be very important. And if they don't do that, and when you got players that can pull tricks, and players like Zaha and Icardi and Tete that could really do things that you don't expect them to do, and what better platform, what better arena to be doing that in the Champions League.
Yeah, I feel like Galatasaray though, if there was a game Galatasaray needed Hakim Ziyech, it was this one, because because Galatasaray has some fast legs. Kerem Aktürkoğlu, Zaha on your wings. In the middle, Tete. These are pacey players.
Yes.
And then you've got a really clinical, good finisher. I have no problem saying that Mauro Icardi is just as good a finisher as Harry Kane. Just as good a finisher. Maybe even better. If we're talking about the complete package, obviously Kane is more of a package. But if we're talking just finishing, I think Icardi is probably better even. But what you're going to be missing is that one foot who's going to find those pacey players behind the lines, And I think if Galatasaray can get the ball to its pacey players, and you have Barış Alper, who's faster than all the other names I've just mentioned.
Yep.
So it's all about getting the ball to those pacey guys behind the line.
Leroy Sané on the right is going to cause some trouble, I think. I'm more worried about him than Harry Kane, to be honest. But then I think on his side, Sasha Bowie will play left back. No, it will be Angelino. So that'll be interesting to see how they match.
It'll probably be up to Kerem. I think Okan Buruk has to play up to Kerem left back in this game.
I'm not sure if he's fast enough though.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. He might lose.
He's a very pacey player, and it would have been good to have someone to match him. Let's see if Angelino will step up.
Who do you see playing in the left back? Because that's the biggest question for Galatasaray on Tuesday. Who do you see playing?
Well, based on this squad, based on this first 11, it's going to be Angelino. That looks like what's going to happen. He's not going to put Kazım Can, who hasn't been playing and who has been injured. Left back, apart from that, you don't really have many choices apart from pulling Abdülkerim to the left and then maybe putting Nelson in the middle with Sanchez. So it'll be interesting to see, but it has to be Angelino. Maybe based on how the game is going, you could maybe pull Khan to the centre back and put Abdülkerim on the left. But it looks like it's going to be Sasha Bowie on the right and Abdülkerim in the middle.
It's definitely going to be Sasha Bowie. I think he's going to definitely play Barış Alper. But I don't know. And also, I don't know if you agree. What do you think about Zaha's performance today?
Zaha today I didn't see him do much at all. I thought he'll, carry the ball forward a bit at least. I don't think he played well at all. Looking at his, ratings, it doesn't look like he had a very good game today. And I think Okan Buruk did the right thing by taking him off when he did.
Do you see him playing on Tuesday? I think he'd still play him, huh?
Yeah, if you got Zaha, he will play.
We got let's take a look at Galatasaray's standing in the group, because this is a good one. Galatasaray are.
Yeah.
If Galatasaray win, they have serious chance at leadership in this group.
Oh, if they win this game, correct? Yes, they're playing for first right now. I think what they're planning to do is to play for the first top. But when you've got Bayern in your league, it'll be really interesting, and it'll be hard to do that. If they win, even if they get a point, I think I could almost guarantee that they'll be out of the actual group itself, because it's going to be hard for anyone to get a point or two from Bayern. And if they win this game first, definitely, even if they draw, I think they'll be a good second position. And then you've got Manchester United and Copenhagen, really, that are going to play against each other. And if Manchester United loses, they're on 0 points. So that's going to be interesting.
Manchester United are not in this group, man. Manchester United, I've said it in the first week. I've said it in the second week. I'll say it today. I'll say it tomorrow. Manchester United will most likely finish last place in this group. Manchester United are not a big team. They are an overrated team. They have an amazing PR machine, that works for them. But in reality, if you look at them since the departure of Sir Alex Ferguson, I don't think they've played 10 games in the Champions League since Alex Ferguson left. Like, that's how sad the situation is. So they're not a Champions League level team. They're not. It's just, I don't care who they have. I don't care how much money they have. Their locker room is not a Champions League locker room.
No, I don't think so.
Copenhagen is a Champions League team, you know? Like, Copenhagen is like, the Galatasaray almost lost to them,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And barely got the point. They almost beat Bayern. They almost copped the point out of Bayern, almost.
Yeah.
No, Copenhagen is not one to undermine. But I don't think Manchester United are going to be a threat to Galatasaray at all. I think it's all about, all in between Copenhagen, Galatasaray, and Bayern, and who gets that second place, Copenhagen or Galatasaray.
Yeah, it's going to be between the two. And if we do lose the 2 games against Bayern, then we still have a chance of Manchester coming to Istanbul and then playing away in Copenhagen. I really don't want it to see to go to the last game where, we have to beat them in Denmark. And I'm hoping, it's a guaranteed second in that game. And if you win, maybe you finish first. And that's going to depend on how the game goes on Tuesday. If you take a point from Bayern or 2, then you're looking at, beating Manchester at home, fingers crossed, and then beating Copenhagen away, which will probably should give you the first position in the group.
Yeah, man. Well, before we go, let's just I wanna, in honor of Galatasaray's win and as an objective host, I'm gonna put up a picture for you guys. But until the picture's ready, let's get some final words about you about the derby and the upcoming Champions League game, Rose, as a fan.
I'm really excited, really, really geared up. It's like this coming into the Besiktas game and the Bayern game, obviously after the national team break as well. It's a tight schedule, right? And I feel like from today, we got the 3 points. The first phase of this tight schedule, the 2 matches between top teams in Turkey and in Europe are going to be a good test of what Galatasaray is about. And if they do turn up and their big players turn up, it's going to be really interesting to see. Hopefully, a much more active and attacking game from Gala on Tuesday, not as complacent and stagnant as they were today. And we look forward to watching it, not just as a Gala fan, but I'm sure you're excited to watch that game as well.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it because, like, in the beginning of the Champions League, season, let's call it, I thought Bayern were just gonna ravage through this group. Like, I thought this group was gonna be in between Galatasaray, Man United, and Copenhagen, and what they do amongst one another. That Bayern was gonna just thrash everybody, but it didn't really. Like, Bayern, I think they thrashed Manchester United despite the score of 4-3. I watched that game. That whole game, I watched it, and like, Bayern were definitely in control of that game. They were definitely in control of that game, and I saw Bayern against Copenhagen though. That kind of surprised me, like when I saw Copenhagen actually able to stop them and get those counterattacks in, score that goal. So it was. I mean, I don't know. Now it's different. It's a group in between Bayern, Galatasaray, and Copenhagen, and obviously Bayern will make it out of here. Even if they lose on Tuesday, they will make it out of here. But the question is, will Gala make it out of here, and can they make it out of here, leaders? And they actually have a shot.
Yep.
In the beginning of the season, if you and I were doing these lives, I would have said that this is a great group to be in. And you would have probably disagreed with me, saying it's a very tough and difficult group, yeah? Would you agree with me now that this is an easier group to be in because you have Manchester United there, your third place is guaranteed. It's guaranteed third place. So worst case, you're in the UEFA Cup. And to qualify, up into the round of 16, you just need to beat Copenhagen. That's a that's a good Champions League draw, in my opinion, for any team,
Yeah.
for any team out there.
Yeah, when you look at the Molde game as well, that was a really test for the teams from the north. And seeing Copenhagen come up after that, as well as obviously Bayern Munich and Manchester United, it was interesting to see. And now we look at it and we're beating Manchester United, which you didn't expect to be beating them over there, and then you are automatically putting 3 points for the Copenhagen game in Istanbul, and that didn't happen. But thanks to Icardi, both today, Manchester United game, any game really that he comes up and plays, he does turn up, and hopefully I saw him limping today towards the end of the game, and I'm hoping it's not a serious injury.
No, hopefully not. I'd be upset as well. So before we go, this was good. I want to put up Galatasaray's post. This is what Galatasaray's official account on Twitter posted. Yeah. So even if he's injured, you'll just swap out a few screws and he should be fine, mate.
Yeah, this guy, man, he is on fire right now, and he's not on fire right now. He's been on fire for a while, since he really came to.
Yeah, man. I'm honestly, I'm jealous. Like, honestly,
it is amazing.
And
I think he also scored 2 goals in the last game too, and we saw this again, 2 goals again. So he's doing the double for you guys. He's doing you a favor, and we love this guy. The singing that song at the stadium, I was lucky enough to be there when he also scored 2 goals against Trabzonspor, and I was singing that song, which the fans love to sing, and yeah.
Listen, I'll give you a bit. I'll do a bit of a Galatasaray fanning for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've seen so many strikers come to Turkey, like A levels. We've had Mario Gomez. We've had like Drogba. We've got Abu Bakar right now. We've got Dzeko right now, and so many other names I'm probably not remembering. It's so Milan Baros was here for years. What a striker! You know what I mean? Demba Ba, Musa. So many, but Icardi is definitely the one that's one step above of all of them. Nicolas Anelka played in Turkey when he was 27 years old, guys. If anybody doesn't know, prime years of his life, he was here for a year. I mean, we actually got to watch him play. He was playing for Fener. But, out of all those names that I've mentioned and the ones that I forgot to mention, I don't think any of them scored against all the big clubs.
Not 2 goals
against Trabzon, against Besiktas, against Gala, against all of your key top opponents, because big players score in big games,
And he's proving that he's a big player week in, week out. So I said to Shinanay, Besiktas, Shinanay Furkan, good morning to everyone from Australia, and I guess good night for the rest of the world.
Yeah, good night to Turkey, good morning to Australia, and good day to me.
Yes, good day to you, sir.